All right, what's up, shooters? Sorry for the little delay. I wanted to post some of the top orders on the day just so we could take a look at. I ran out of time, but I got I think the most of them on here. Hold on. All right, so how's everybody doing? Welcome, everybody, anybody who's new to the, what do we call this again? The Tuesday Degenerates Hangout. We're all compulsive, degenerate gamblers, and we like to talk shop every Tuesday. We go over what we're seeing. We go over, you like that, Joey, huh? Because you know it's the truth. But all kidding aside, we go over, what we've seen so far early in the week as far as sweeper activity, aggressive buying in the options market, and on the sentiment side of things, what the retail money and how they're positioned. And we try to come up with a game plan for the rest of the week and see, if the market or the flow is giving us any evidence of any signs of what the rest of the week may entail. All right, and it's been some fun times. Let me take this, whatever this thingy is, off because this annoys me. Okay, it's been some fun times, and we've been talking about that obviously week in, week out. If you've been bullish, if you stayed bullish and blocked out most of the noise, all the negativity out there, again, you may not be, you're always unhappy, right? You never made enough in a off a rally, but you've made some money. And, that's the most important thing. And you're going to realize each and every setup, right? Each and every setup that we come out of a correction or consolidation, you're going to look to correct mistakes and fine tune your strategy. And that would allow you to get better and better at the process of taking advantage of these rallies. Okay, you're going to be better prepared. You're going to learn certain things not to do next time. And you're never going to get it down to where, there won't be screw ups, where you're going to be totally pleased with everything, the way you've handled it. But again, if you correct mistakes, if you acknowledge what you shouldn't be doing, and you work on not doing it again, eventually your P&L will show and it will make a difference, So again, it's been good times. The one thing I can complain about, and you guys know me, I wish there was more red out there. There've been more pullbacks or more consolidation out there along the way. Obviously, they haven't given us much. As the rally has stretched here over the last, I would say, month or so, we've had a couple little pulls. But prior to that, there was no pullback to wait on getting in. If you did, you missed a lot of the rally out there. That's my one complaint, because I know, with my style, if there were pullbacks along the way, I would have obviously benefited that much more, and because there wasn't, this rally in particular, even though it was so strong, and, as far as length and how powerful it was, how broad it was, I made money I made more money off a lot smaller rallies in the past, just because there have been ample buying opportunities throughout. All right, but you're not going to hear me complain. What? You lost audio? That might be you, just you, Paul. Did you guys lose audio? Oh, okay. You got it? Perfect. Yeah, sometimes it comes and goes. Give it a minute. All right, but so that's that. So where are we now? Okay, and this is something we've been talking about probably since late February. Okay, where you never know when that music's going to stop. This could be a full-fledged start of a whole new bull run here, and lo and behold, nobody thinks that, and that's why there's an actual possibility of that, right? You hear everybody late cycle, earnings recession, blah 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 blah. That, all that means nothing. And we saw the proof right in front of our face. This whole entire rally, was met with non-believers, from the smartest minds out there to the most experienced players out there. They've doubted this rally the whole way. Okay, and it's just one thing you should take away from this rally. One nugget you should take away is it's the epitome of what we talk about constantly on here, that nobody has a clue. Nobody has the clue. And when everybody's in agreement on one side, usually the total opposite happens. Okay, and that's what happened here. All right, so now this is just, again, being logical here. Okay, the rally's been stretched without any decent side consolidation, right? Any decent size drawdown. So things are going to get tougher. Obviously, the flow is not going to be as broad. Okay, if you remember early on in the rally, they were sweeping anything with a ticker, right? Now we're going to see more of rotation, stock selection, all that fun stuff. Okay, and at some point there's going to be, even at the least, some sort of choppy drawdown consolidation where this market needs to digest this. Okay, and we are getting close to that. And the only reason I can even say that, you guys know me, I'm not trying to forecast that. We are getting close to that because of what we're seeing on the sentiment front. Okay, so this little pull today, if you want to even call it that, I don't even know if it's the definition of a pullback yet, but this little breather today, once again, like we mentioned the last time, came in the nick of time. Again, ES is a little cleaner look, so I'll show you guys on here with the Niners. So right here, if you remember, we had a webinar right around here, and it's almost like deja vu. We were saying the same exact thing. If the rally would push through this point, and coincidentally it landed right around a Niner, that's why we like to look at these things, it would only mean more trouble going forward. Okay, it would only skew the risk reward even worse off than it already is up here. Okay, again, reason being is everybody, as a market pushes higher, even the skeptics out there will turn less bearish than bullish. And once they all give in, that's when usually the market likes to pull the rug. Okay, so if today's the start of at least some sort of breather, that would be the best thing. Because chances are, if we do get a breather similar to this, maybe a little longer, we're going into earnings season, so maybe that could help it a bit as far as adding to the chop, the volatility and all. This breather right here, we pretty much were at bullish extreme readings on the sentiment side of things as we were near the highs here. Okay, this little consolidation wiped out a good amount of that short-term bullishness. Okay, everything down to at least neutral, if not close to flashing some extreme bearish signals, if you can believe that. All right, and the reason being is this is what usually happens when you come out of these scary periods. You come out of a 2008, right? You guys remember on the Saturday webinar, we were talking about that. Coming out of 2008, right, 2009, any little down intraday fade during that 2009 rally, people were calling, okay, here it comes, here's Armageddon, all the way up. Honestly, it lasted for years, because that's how awful 2008 felt. So when you come out of a period like we just did, where you're supposed to get a Santa rally, and instead we got the Grinch with not a buyer to be found, that lingers in your head. It lingers in psychology. It lingers in these players' emotions, right? And what you're going to have is any little downdraft You're going to have bears looking to catch that short, right? You're going to have bulls throwing in the towel, thinking the run is over. And when they get to an extreme over a short period of time, that's where you get these snapbacks. All right. The bad thing is, what I was explaining earlier, if you continue to rally as players are feeling bullish and you just continue to rally through that exuberance, I shouldn't say exuberance, we're not there yet, but if you keep, if the market keeps trading higher as even the doubters feel bullish, that's when it leads to trouble, something similar to that panic attack we had in January, if you remember this. Okay, we had that rally through hot sentiment. The market just continued higher. People were, making fun of anybody who looked at sentiment for an edge in the market, ignored any signals they were looking at, and then a big event like this happened, right? Shorting VIX. So we got the start of that here, right? We had the start of that here, a little breather. We got the start of that again here, and we could use a breather at the least, some sort of drawdown or breather here. All right. And again, what to look for if we don't get that breather and this market just continues higher, we got to find it in ourselves not to get more bullish, okay, to get more cautious. All right, the total opposite. So that's what we have to keep an eye on here. If you're bullish, you want a breather. Okay, you want a breather here. You don't want this market to come out of this and do this again. And listen, it's earnings season too. Okay, so for anybody who's in the steam room or on private Twitter, the flow is going to get messy, right? We're not going to have a clean read on things. We're trying to be, as we've been talking about, right? Coming into this week, we want to be extremely selective, right? Take maybe the most aggressive activity out there in a name we like. That's, flat red down, no chasing, and then flip it as quick as we can. We're looking to be more tactical here. That's basically, in simple English, what we're looking to do. All right. So we don't need this. We don't need another leg higher like this. Okay. Because if we're going to have the strategy, if we're going to play by that game plan where we're looking to be tactical, we're looking to buy off weakness, we don't want to buy into hot sentiment readings, blah, blah, blah. A rally like this is not going to do us any good anyway. Okay. And could eventually put a damper on the whole bull run here. All right. So if you're bullish, as crazy as it sounds, you're rooting for some sort of breather here. Okay. Some sort of breather. If you're bearish, what you want to see right now, you want to see this market snap back from this little breather here, rally for another day or so, reel in more bulls, and then you get that one reversal day where bears just, put sweepers, take the bull, and they're off whenever that comes. All right, if it makes any sense. But I think the playbook, again, like we were stressing on the Saturday webinar, if you remember, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, we have a Saturday webinar strategy webinar where we go over an outlook and what to, at least a game plan, kind of anticipate what we're going to do for that particular week. And when sentiment gets hot, we want to stay tactical. All right, I'll give you an example of what I mean by tactical. And a lot of you guys have been doing that quite impressively. Okay, but what I mean by tactical is if, let's say, let's say like CRC, right? Let's say you see some oil sweeper activity coming in, you find an oil name you like, you get in, right? You get that rip. A lot of times, maybe you roll out, maybe you give it a leash. Okay, now is not the time for that. Right? If we had sentiment on our side, if we were coming out of consolidation, if hypothetically it was an earnings season. Those are the times you want to get a little more greedy if possible. Okay. Here, we're in a situation now where when you have that money there, you want to take it off the table. Why? Because if we do end up in some sideways consolidation at the least, okay, that's where you're going to see a lot of your profits disappear. All right. Things will be looking good one day, 2 days later, they look like total crap. Okay. And then again, you throw in earnings into the mix where now we're in the hands of the earnings gods. All right. And that's just an added wrinkle, just to prove the point even more so of why you want to be tactical. And the reason being is, I'll give an example. Let's say you own a good looking tech name. Okay. Good looking tech name. You think you could get a decent trade out of, you see some sweeper activity. Let's say it's a semiconductor, but you have a couple semis reporting over the next couple of days. What do you think is going to happen if one of those semis miss and warn and the stock gets beat up during the conference call? No matter how good looking your stock was, no matter how good looking the flow was, the market's going to take it down with it. All right. So again, you don't have as much control. I feel like I don't have as much control because I can't even get an accurate read on the flow to have the confidence in where I can feel good about playing off a directional bet. That it's not a hedge, that it's not a play on a peer in a group's earnings or not stock replacement. All right, so there's a laundry list of reasons why we should be tactical, but the most important thing is to be tactical. All right, and again, I want to repeat it because it's important, especially those of you guys who are members. When the market's down or a day like today, it's easy to say to yourself, yeah, be tactical, okay? Because you're a little iffy, the market's down. I'm talking about tomorrow, we snap back, right? And you got ES rip 35 handles to the upside, and today's little weakness was a foregone conclusion. You won't even remember it. You want to remain, that's where you want to remain tactical. That's where you want to remember the game plan and where, okay, I'm not chasing this gap up. You know what I mean? I got profits. Usually I'd let this thing run, but now my game plan's different in this type of environment. I'm going to lock this in, right? Because this market's not going anywhere. If you have any intentions on being in this game, especially over the long haul, and you're looking to find success, you can't worry about missing that one situation that may continue to run after you sell it or that you pass on. When you're in that frame of mind where you're taking a more conservative approach because of the signals around you, you can't let that stuff bother you. The time you let it bother you is when you're looking to be aggressive and you weren't aggressive in the name you like. You know what I mean? In the name that you saw action in, where all your signals lined up, you felt good, but you didn't have the coconuts to go and get aggressive in the name. That's where you want to beat yourself up a little bit. Okay, but not when the stuff you have confidence in is telling you not to be aggressive. All right, and so we had a couple of them. We got, in my opinion, I think we've had luck on our side as well. Not every tactical trade is going to work out in your favor, at least, initially or immediately. You got a better shot of it if we're in a choppy market when you're buying red. But so far, so good. All right, we had a couple oil names. They were down today, but the CRC's had a nice rally. The COP, we had a quick one-day flip there. What do we sell today? Oh, here's another example of being tactical. Okay, and this is a name I like, right? You guys know, those of you, Kim, BHC's done well off sweeper activity. Okay, this thing may head a lot higher. Okay, there's spec action in it. Somebody's got something up their sleeve there. But yesterday closed strong. Today, right on, we get that gap up. I'll take that every day right now in this type of environment until some things cool off. You know what I mean? So that's what you guys got to focus on. And I know it comes across as obvious sometimes, but let me tell you this: if it's not something you are happy with it, if it's not something that is suitable for you, then don't take the trade. Don't try to make it into something bigger. I didn't get the right wording there. What I'm saying is, if being too quick or the profits may not be worth it to you, then it's okay with passing right now. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? It's okay with waiting for something you think you could get a bigger bang for your buck. Right? Maybe you need a higher price stock that can move more because you're playing the options or whatever. Or maybe the premium was too high on a particular name. So you gotta keep an eye on those things currently, because those are the little things that can help out when you're trying to be tactical. All right, so we had a couple decent quick trades in some of these things: BHC, some oil names, even other names prior to that. SRPT's been moving nicely. All right, but you see how these things are starting to fade at the end, little by little. It gets tougher. It gets tougher. It's going to get tougher. Anybody have any questions before we look at some of the action today? Anybody have any questions or is unsure about, type of strategy, or can't relate to what I'm saying? Are any of you guys, or most of you guys, or any of you guys taking the same approach here? Feel free to throw in some input. Are you taking a different approach? Like, what are some measures that you guys take when you're looking to be a little more conservative, maybe when things are too stretched? That's a question I'd be interested in hearing the answers to. Anybody have anything in particular they do? Yeah, and William, that's exactly, William's a member, and that's exactly what we preach, and I think that's the best way to do it, is size down, play lighter. That's number one on the list, hands down. And shorter term stuff. If you can day trade, look to flip the next day, stuff like that. But playing lighter, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I didn't yet. That's one of the more important things, I think, when you're looking to be conservative. You don't want to be stressed out and treat something with kid gloves when you're looking to be tactical. That's for sure. Here is the action for today. Nothing crazy today. Again, we're looking, if you guys remember last webinar, again, the last time we had a discussion like this, I told you in this type of environment, it's almost better when we see spec activity, meaning straight up spec action. Okay, it doesn't have to be a lot of money. It's better off if there's not a lot of time behind the bet, meaning they didn't go 6 months out. They went in weeklies, or they went in bi-weeklies or front month. And you guys know that when I'm looking to be aggressive, I like the total opposite of that, right? You hear me all the time. The sharp activity, the bull missiles, like that stuff is the goods, okay? But if, again, to use that T word, if I'm looking to be tactical now, that stuff does me no good, right? Because I'm looking to be quicker. I'm looking, for spec action that I can see movement in now. If somebody goes out 6-7 months, even though they're pumping in $3 million into a sweep, that stock doesn't have to move over the next week, and that's not what I'm looking for right now. All right, so the spec activity is ideal when you have the trader helmet on. Okay, now again, you hear me a lot of times. I say I don't put myself in the category of a trader. I'm being more of a trader now than I usually am. Again, because of everything we just went over. All right. Tree's asking, would like to know, think about repeat CRM calls. Yeah. We'll talk about that. That's a good question, Tree, on two fronts you mentioned there. I'll mention that as soon as we run through this flow here. All right. So here, in my opinion, was the top action for that particular criteria I just went over. Okay. Huya. There was some weakness today. I rushed through this. They hit two other lines as well. Okay, it wasn't just one sweep. It was 3-4 sweeps that came in. Okay, this was one of the bigger ones here. May 3rd, 25 calls. So you could have, played any line you felt most comfortable with, what kind of wood you wanted to lay, that sort of thing. These were legitimate bets. Okay, opening activity, aggressive. They swept multiple exchanges, right? A couple other things we want to see, especially in this climate. We don't want to chase, right? That's the last thing we want to do is chase green, chase a rally, anything like that. They've been straight up selling this thing. They announced a secondary, an offering. That's primarily the reason why this thing's been selling off. All right, so this is just your typical snapback trade. Okay, nothing more than that, in my opinion. Nothing more than that. All right, and as you guys know, Huya has been a name like the IQ. They've been sweeping since the lows all the way up. All right, so this is not initial activity. This is not something I'm looking to give a big leash to. This is something that when it does catch sweeper activity into a dip, it can snap back nicely, right? So that's what I took this out of the day today. That was my only swing. I dumped like the B8C and I bought some Huya. All right. So that, in my opinion, was the best play for the type of stuff we're looking for here. This URBN caught similar action to that. This is a little slower of a mover at times, but I haven't followed it of late. It's a retail name, Urban Outfitters. Okay. The difference is this thing's been hot, to say the least. All right. So bumped into a niner, stopped like a clock, and whoop, here's the dip, and they bought this dip. All right. So again, the Huya setup I like a little better because of the weakness, but legitimate spec action in this urban, and retail names have been seeing some decent action of late. There's been some rotation into some of these retail names. All right, and earnings not involved in the action here. Okay, Huya as well. I don't know if one of the bets catch earnings. I don't think so. No, right? No. So Huya, no earnings as well, right? That's another thing. We worry about action that captures an earnings date. How do we know, that player's not dumping stock? Right? He could be dumping stock that he owns and buying calls because he don't want as much principal risk going into earnings. Okay, we never know that to begin with. The odds of that go up dramatically during earnings season. So that's what adds to the mess. All right, so you got two names there that caught spec action that have nothing to do with earnings. They could be possibly a play on somebody else in the group. You can never figure that out and be certain. All right, but again, we'll limit the odds of that being the case. So this way you're picking the best of the action. All right, so Huya and the retailer there, Urban Outfitters. Here's another retail name. I came close to swinging this. And then I changed my mind because some of the action did catch earnings. So you had action and some short dated stuff that didn't. So it was worthy of a day trade without a doubt. And then you had the size catch earnings. So that's why I stayed away. I kind of was kicking myself because I pretty much scalped it, to be honest with you, and this thing ripped hard. Looks like it faded most of the move later on in the day. Here's earnings right here, March 7th. May 7th, I'm sorry, March. All right, so obviously those March orders catch earnings. Okay, this is obviously not my ideal setup, right? I'm looking down here. That's where I want to see them for the most part, or off weakness. This thing has been strong as an ox. All right, breather off a niner here, and the action came in. The stock was pretty much flat. It just looked like it was ready. This morning, the sell-off didn't even start yet. Looked like it was ready to go, and she did. I guess the market took down a lot of things and took down the look. Strong rally early on. Strong rally. All right. So again, most of the action there does catch earnings though, so you got to take the quality down several notches there. All right, another retail name, by the way. Trip, same thing there. You had some April sweeps that do not catch earnings, but the May orders do. All right, not a lot of money, just aggressive in nature, you know. And again, if the name, I'm looking for certain things. You guys know, I look for squeeze names. I'm looking for names off weakness or dead heartbeat, sideways consolidation, that type of thing. But you guys may have a favorite, certain spot or whatever the case may be. Everybody's different. This wasn't that bad of a spot either, this trip. But it just, again, catches earnings. So half the action, if not 3/4 of the action, you got to take with a grain of salt. This one had a nice move too. I didn't day trade this. This one had a nice move off the sweeps as well. And again, all this stuff can be day traded. The only thing as far as day trades, you want to be careful chasing green, or, like NVIDIA has been catching sweeper activity every single day for like the past 3 months straight. NVIDIA, there's likely not much edge of any sweeper activity anymore. It's just what it is. There's been sweepers every single day. You got a lot of tech earnings coming up. People scrambling for exposure, chasing. So that's not really my cup of tea. If NVIDIA's down on a day, right? If there's weakness and you see it get sprayed, like they really come after it, where you feel like maybe there could be some momentum generated for a day trade, that's a different story. But you see isolated sweeps and names like NVIDIA, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. All right, here's the name I'm in already. Was up, and then the market got a hold of it, ended up flat or down a bit. 5. That caught some repeat buying today. All right, that's a retail name. 5 below. We were talking about it off recent activity, as you guys remember. Hold on. And she can move. This thing can move. So they hit it a couple days ago, and there's been some smaller flow since, again today. Earnings are out in June, so it's not an earnings play. All right. And you can see she's creeping up, market permitting. You really only need one snapback day, and you get ping. And again, retail, we've been seeing rotation into the group. Had this big run. I can't believe the run it's had. Had to digest that, right? Made it test at highs. This is what they call, you technicians call what? A little cup and handle action, maybe? maybe cup and handle. Anyway, keep an eye on. I wouldn't chase it, but if you see weakness, you might want to look for an entry there. It's up a little bit off the sweeps of recent. Do you enter your day trades immediately after the sweep hits the board, or do you wait for a pullback? Brant, it depends. I know people hate that answer, but I'll tell you what it depends on. If a stock is up, if the stock's been running already, I'm not even waiting for a pullback. I just pass. The way here's for my day trades, even a lot of my swing trades, not all of them, because the sharp activity with time I swing, I build a decent sized position, so that's a little different. But all my trades, in quotation, I'm looking for a certain type of trade. I look at sweeper activity as a heads up from the professional money that a name may be in play. Okay, there's a high probability of momentum coming into the name. Okay, so my edge is where there is no positive momentum. So that would mean sideways, dead, no life consolidation, or weakness. You know what I mean? So that type of thing. So basically, you see me talk a lot about, let's give, here. Okay. This is a good example recently, right? Blood buying. Okay. Here, like CNC, they came into blood. It wasn't just one buyer, right? It was multiple buyers that came in. And that was my heads up that there could be a change in momentum there. Now, you see now, CNC is still catching action up here. I basically ignore it. Even honestly, even for day trades, because there's momentum already there now, right? I feel like I don't have the edge that I had when there was weakness or no momentum, if that makes sense. All right, so anything for my day trade is basically I'm asking myself, can that action create enough momentum for me to day trade off of it? That's basically the question I ask on anything I contemplate day trading. All right, so if there's weakness, the likelihood is I'm going to give it a shot at day trading it. If there's sideways, flat, stock's been sideways, laying dead on the ground, the likelihood is I'm going to day trade it. So the majority of those I swing trade too, depending on the action. But the one thing I will say, Brant, the one thing I would, if I had to recommend one thing to you, at least initially, just don't chase. I think that's where the trouble comes in most, is when you chase. Okay? Because, yeah, you could be quick or sweeper activity, and if you're looking for a scalp, you could get away with chasing. All right? But a lot of times from what I see, especially players that are new to flow, when they chase, they end up in trouble. Because what happens is they get some added momentum, but a lot of times it's not enough. Okay? And because there's momentum already there if you're chasing. If that momentum comes out of that name, that's where things can really unravel. And, you got to make sure you stick to your stop and stuff. Whereas opposed to if a stock is just going sideways, right? It's going to be pretty obvious when that momentum comes in, and you could raise a stop and do what you need to do. Or weakness, same thing. If you get into a name off weakness or sweeper activity, if that name's not showing that positive momentum off the sweeper activity, to pull the plug and get out. All right, because that's your edge. The sweepers are giving you a heads up that tide's going to turn. If that tide doesn't turn, that's where you got to stop out and move on. All right, so yeah, Gordon saying that's where I get in most trouble chasing. That's where a lot of people, Gordon, don't take it personal. I told you, Gordon, I spent my whole entire career, I know you guys hear this way too much, but the 20 plus years I spent on pitcher like a baseball player in the batting cage working on not chasing. That's basically, I spent my whole entire career. Because when I got into the game, I was not necessarily taught, but just learned from players around me, brokers around me, breakouts. That was the big thing. You don't buy anything unless it's breaking out. It's got to be moving higher and it's got to be on volume, you know? And now where I'm at, it's the total opposite what I'm looking for. The total opposite, right? I want to anticipate the breakout now. That's where my edge is, right? The sweeper activity is tilting the odds in my favor that there's a probable breakout in that name. So I don't want something that's already broken out, even if it catches sweeper activity. Yeah, and you're going to see, a lot of those things, Gordon, we talk about this all the time. A lot of those things you hear, especially you see it on Twitter, these people throwing out these lines from traders that were trading in the 1800s. It's a different game now. And I saw an interview with Druckenmiller who just said, he said one sentence in there and I felt like tingly. He was like, all the stuff that he made his money in back in the day that used to work, that doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work anymore. There was too many eyeballs on it. So now, right, everyone pays attention to volume. If you pay attention to volume, you miss this whole freaking rally. All you hear people on Twitter, there's no volume. It's the lightest volume day of the year, right? Volume's not important. I'm sorry. This whole rally was on light volume, right? And then look at like reversal spots, right? When a stock pumps new highs and the volume is like 5 times average, that's a sign of a top now. That's not a breakout, right? Or the opposite. When a stock breaks down and trades 5 times its normal volume, that's usually a sign of capitulation, a reversal. So it just goes to show you, everybody, and you see it, everybody is looking for the same, everyone's looking at the same stuff out there. And they don't realize that if you look at the statistics and 90% of the traders can't find consistency and fail at this game, yet 90% of those traders are looking at the same exact shit. Right? You hear the word breakout now. I hear the word breakout, Gordon, in a name. If I see somebody on Twitter mention the word breakout, I'm in the name, I poop my bloomers. That's the last thing I want to hear. You want to be selling or raising stops or rolling into that. And that's where our edge lies too. The reason why we're staring at sweeper activity each and every day till our eyeballs fall out is that's our edge. Okay, that they can bring us situations that the crowd isn't aware of yet. That's where our edge lies. And again, not every situation is going to turn into that. But again, it's the game of odds and probability, right? If a stock is in consolidation and there's a 50-50 chance, right, of it breaking up in price or breaking down in price, right? The odds are 50-50. If it catches aggressive sweeper activity, it's going to tilt the odds in one favor, right? You would think. Later, Bill. Right? So that's the way you got to look at things. I think that's the way you got to approach it and look at it. And you'll realize, a lot of the stuff you were teaching yourself to do initially, you'll end up doing the total opposite. You'll end up doing the total opposite. When am I going to get a master course? Oh, Stephen, I don't know if I'm equipped for that. I don't know if I'm equipped for that. I'm not a teacher, man. I'm not a teacher. I'm a preacher. I'm a preacher, but I'm not a teacher. No, I'm not. I appreciate it. I know you guys mean well, but I'm not. I'm being honest. I'm not. You know, you think I joke around? I am not. I wouldn't have the audacity to try to teach anybody to trade. Because again, I don't even put myself in that category of a trader. It's just I've been around long enough that to learn certain things. You know what I mean? And as each and every one of you will, each and every one of you, the longer you're in this game, you're going to have a laundry list of stuff that you shouldn't do. It's up to you to not do it. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. Each and every time you play this game, you're going to learn something that you will be better off not doing. And it's about working on not doing it. But yeah, and I guess you could put this in the category of teaching, but I don't look at it as that, because again, I don't push my playing philosophy on anybody out there. You guys know that, right? My so-called trading, the way I play things, I don't push that. What I try to do is, if you're going to look at, if you're looking towards sweepers and sentiment as an added tool, right, to provide an edge in what you do, I'm trying to get you guys to focus on this stuff so you can get it to work and fit properly into what you do. Each and every one of you out there, you're wired differently, and you likely are comfortable and confident trading a different way. So you got to find what you're good at, what you're comfortable with, and then find how the sweeper activity and sentiment can give you that little bit of edge. That's all you're looking for. It's not the crystal ball. It's not, trading and because again, trading, and this is why I say it, Stephen, trading, if you're just trading the markets, that's, we had this conversation, you're relying on you, right? You're relying on your instincts, your talents. A lot of us are wired in the wrong way for that. So I can't teach you that. I couldn't teach myself that. How am I going to teach you that? I could probably teach you what not to do a lot better than what to do. But that's why I don't put myself in the teaching camp. I'm just sharing how sweeper activity and both sentiment can, no matter what you're doing, can make you better off than you are now. Okay, so if you're on the verge of finding consistency, but you keep bumping your head, you know what I mean, or the discipline lacks, or you overtrade, or you're trading in an environment where you shouldn't be trading. If you start to look at the right things and use sweeper activity and sentiment the way you're supposed to, it will help keep you out of those conditions if you allow it to. If you don't, there's nothing we can do. All right, there's nothing we can do. But yeah, great questions. So that's the only thing I would stress to you guys. I'm being honest. I know it sounds simple, but just simply, if you do not chase, okay, and let things come to you, let them sell the name you want and then fire, I think a lot of you would be better off immediately. You'll have less stuff to play, but I think your P&L will be thankful for that, if that makes any sense. You tell that that's Ani, that again, that's everybody. Everybody. We all want to play. That's what makes this game fun, right? It's gambling. But like we said, when you're gambling, you got to acknowledge you're gambling and size it down, fool around, like even now, okay? Even now, like I said, we were fortunate enough, even at the top here, to run into a little batch of nice performing quick trades, okay? But I'm not taking the needle here and saying, oh man, I just hit 3 in a row. I got to nail this Huya. You know what I mean? Because I know, this is not an ideal environment right now for me. It's not an ideal environment for me right now. So no matter what I play, I'm going to be a lot more selective. I'm going to take it easy. I'm not going to turn a trade into a position. I'm going to stick to the playbook as of now. And then when there's a better setup out there, that's when I'll go back to doing my thing. Who tweets those sweepers every minute? Me. Sunil, you can't believe that? That's what I look at every single market hour minute of the day. Oh man, he says, that's me. No, honey. Algo Jesus. That's me. I thought it was Algo Jesus. I am Algo Jesus. No, look at inside. It's me. And honestly, I don't even look at it. I'm a machine rock. I don't look at it as much work. I told you, if go swing a hammer for a living in the New York cold, in dead heart of the winter, and you see what real work is. You'll freeze you got to wear those electric socks, keep your tootsies warm while your nostril hairs freeze. Now I'm watching the order flow all day anyway, so yeah, right. Yeah, Tree, I'm in Huya. Like Huya was a flat out swing for me immediately. Steven, I've been eyeing Huya for a swing. You called it too, right? Steven, you said we'll likely get a better entry than where it was up there. I took the calls here. Just because it can be, this stock is a little crazy, and I don't want to make the determination where would I stop myself out on the equity, because if I play equity, obviously I got to have a stop loss. So yeah, again, Trey, if this was, if it was an ideal environment, and actually, if Huya was initial activity, then I'd probably treat it the right way. But this is just a straight out, the same way I played BHC, COP, all those quick trades, I'm playing Huya. So if I can get a snapback rally and get some half decent green, that's all I'm looking for. I know it's going to be appetizing to hold for more, but I'm going to, stick to my guns and treat it as a trade. Yeah, JP Morgan, I'm in a full option position. I've been in that. So JP Morgan would fit more AS of my positions, right? My positional trading more than anything else. So if I end up losing the money on JP Morgan, that would be a full size loss there on JP Morgan. But that's the only thing I'm holding on to, full size position from the rally. So, that's what I'm trying to stress to you guys. If you got a market that does what it's doing here, okay, at when you get to these Niners, when you get to the hot sentiment, you got to be okay with what you may get caught in. You know what I mean? That you got to ask yourselves that question. And if you're not okay with getting caught what you're in, you either trim it down, put on protection, right? Buy some puts, buy some VIX, buy some SPY puts, do what you got to do. Again, you can't worry about, again, there's certain places we look at with the profits we want to make, but when you get to a Niner and sentiment's hot, and we're in need of consolidation, that's where you want to focus more of what you have at risk rather than how much money you're going to make. You know, and again, more importantly, if we do get a tug AS, okay, or we go into something like this, let's say again, we said that here, it never happened, right? But if we do, okay, the initial activity, the initial sweeper activity in the new names that come in off that breather, off that sell-off, that's the gold right there. You know, that's the gold. Like that's where you're going to realize when you're doing things right, where your best winners come from. Off the polls, you know? Not up here. You know, here is where you get angry, but you can't allow yourself to get angry, but you get angry because you don't have enough exposure. Or, you know, you're angry because you got caught in something you wish you went all into cash. But you see why it doesn't pay to go all in cash? Because you never know, right? Look, you never know. You never know. So, you know, the further you get on with a rally like this, you know, you want to make sure you're as light as possible at the top. You know, initially you could have 2-3 positions you're holding, right? Then you're down to 2 positions you're holding through, right? Then you're just 1 position you're holding through. Because eventually, guys, there's going to be a breather, guys. You know what I mean? There's going to be a breather, a legitimate breather. Karen, the put action, I know a lot of you guys are interested in put action. The put action is really tough here to get a good read on. Really tough. And the reason why, again, the obvious reasons, if you're a player out there and you own, you know, a lot of Apple, right? You've been buying a lot of Apple since the lows, okay? And you don't want to sell too much of it. You want to hold it longer term, but you're concerned this quarter that the stock rallied bigly, right? And there may be a pull. So what a player's going to do is they're going to go and put on some puts to protect their profits here. You know what I mean? So they're not betting aggressively on downside. They're protecting against downside off earnings. So it's really, really tough to get a read on the put action out there right now. Really tough. You know, because it's earnings season. The only thing I will say, for those of you who are looking for the short side, the call buying often will tell you a lot more than the put buying. Okay, when you don't see call sweeper activity, all right, especially in stretches, that's likely your window on the short side. And you'll realize when call sweeper activity dries up, okay, it'll go dead for like an hour, let's say late morning or something, and then all of a sudden it's like the put buyers sniff that out. They realize there are no buyers out there, and boom, they look to play the momentum to the downside. So even if you're not going long and you're looking for a short, you should pay close attention to the call sweeper activity. And even more so if you're a member, to the commentary I post, because you'll hear me complain a lot when there's no call sweeper activity. So when you hear me complaining about no call sweeper activity, that's when, if you have to play the put side, that's when I would suggest looking at that stuff. Because you don't, put it this way, you don't want to be short when call sweepers have the ball, obviously. Okay? So right there, you're ahead of the game. That's what happens. That's what happens with a lot of people that go short, new members and stuff like that. They'll see call sweepers come in and they just ignore them. And then they get run over. Just like this rally here, right? Initially, nobody wanted to believe the buying, the price action, nothing. And if they were short, they got stampeded to death. If they were stubborn and built up that bias. So you'll get smaller windows, especially on an intraday basis, to play the short side. If it doesn't get to your head, you'll definitely have that opportunity and the opportunity to make some money. But you've heard that in my mouth. Me personally, I rather wait for the setup than try to make money off this. Because it's easy for me to fire here when that time comes. And that's when I'm most confident. You know what I mean? So if you're short here and you're finding success making money on the short side, the likelihood is you're going to get caught short at some point where call sweepers come in and they squeeze you. But because you were finding some success on the short side, you don't want to flip. Yeah, it's a tough game, AS. You know that. I've been telling you that forever now, right? I just, again, it's not even the money that I can possibly make on a short. That's irrelevant to me. It's about how much damage it can do to me mentally, I don't even want to let it get to there. Because there'll be, and it adds discipline. It adds discipline. I need discipline in my life, right? I'm a degenerate. I need discipline. So when there's no call sweeper activity and put buyers have the ball, I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting in cash, watching the tape. I feel good about myself. Teva, what they have? They have some puts today? Teva? I saw some leap puts, I think, there, right? It looks like dog poop, Teva. But you got earnings here. You got earnings coming up. Yeah, so we've been seeing some rotation into select retail names. Energy, as tough as they are, I think if you're interested in energy, keep your eyes on it. A couple of these names got hot, though. You know what I mean? They ran into a couple Niners. There's Niners all over the place. So we might go into a little something, at the least a little something. You got to believe we're going into a little something. Right? You had the ES Niner. You know what I mean? Even something like this again, at the least. You had, I think, IWM. Didn't IWM have a Niner today, yesterday or today? Yep. Niners across the board, I know. Amazon, didn't Amazon have a Niner? Amazon. The squeezometer, I didn't get the update at the close, but that went out at, I think it was 40, maybe even lower at the 4 o'clock update. We'll see where, I'm interested in the other stuff, Tim. We'll see where that stuff is. Hopefully we made a little dent. I saw the put the call was up. That was good. That was getting a little low, the total put the call. So, we needed, you saw the Nova Ursa was poking its head out a little, stuff like that. ISRG, let's see, Niner or what? No, came off a Niner here, little breather, Niner back here, no Niner there. You don't want to see those Niners, right? Those damn Niners. Tesla, let's see, what are we looking at, Tesla? Yeah, Tesla. See, you got earnings coming up in Tesla, but looked interesting. We nailed this Tesla. Well, I only played it the once. Some of you guys nailed it twice, right? This was the one I played with you guys. That was ideal right here. Ideal. See, like, who asked me that question? I think it was Brent or whatever. It was more for day trading. I know Brent, but just so you get an idea, like my bread and butter. This thing, like, look at this. It looked like garbage, right? Awful. Sentiment washed out, okay? Gaps down, shorts, you name it in it. Catches a sweep. I ignore it. Catches another sweep. I ignore it. Okay? Catches another sweep. I ignore it. The afternoon comes. They come back and they hit it again and again. And that's when I said, that's all. I got to own Tesla. I have no choice. I have to own Tesla now. Okay? If I didn't believe this one, the player I had confidence in, if I didn't believe this one, I didn't believe this one. What does that sweeper have to do to get me to believe? Right? Tim saying you posted the action in the Steam room? Yeah, we went over this with members Saturday. Yeah, right here. Tim is good at this stuff. Look at that. Look at that. Wow, look at Tim. Tim does his homework. So yeah, here's the action in Tesla that came at the lows. Bink, bink, bink. And these are Pacific times because Tim's on the West Coast. He's a West Coaster. So yeah, and honestly, guys, I think that's the action right now. Like, that's the blueprint for what you want to see. Okay, if you don't see that strong of action, anything that could come close to it, you want to have them make you a believer that somebody is playing with confidence. And the thing was, again, the most important thing, there wasn't earnings involved. Okay, because if there was earnings involved, I would have ignored all those sweepers, all of them. All right, so that's why the clean action is worth it. And look, that's what I mean about changing the momentum. At its worst, that's where this guy hammered it. And then look at this rip. Look at that rip. So that's picture perfect. I'm not a big Tesla player either, but that was picture perfect. One other name before I forget, maybe you guys want to keep an eye on. Again, just spec action. All right, nothing sharp or outrageous in size. STX. Somebody at the close chipping away at some weeklies. Anybody know of any catalysts in STX this week by any chance? Anybody aware of any catalyst by chance? All right, because it's not earnings. And again, not to beat a dead horse, but this is the stuff you want to try to, focus on during earnings season. Similar to like that BHC. All right, there's, earnings aren't there. And then again, it wasn't huge size. You just had aggressive spec sweeper activity come in early on in the day, cheap, but they were aggressive. Yeah, not earnings related. Yeah, so that's the stuff you want to try to get in the middle of during earnings season. STX had an Evercore upgrade yesterday. Yeah, I was going to say maybe there's an upgrade they're chasing over there. I don't know. But here, I'll show you the action that came in. Did I post it on here? Oh, I forgot to post it on here. I'll post it for you Steam Room members too. Hold on, let me find it here. Oh, you know what I could do? Find it here. Can you guys make that out though? Yeah, here it is. All weeklies. Weekly 48 and a halves. Weekly 49s. Weekly 48 and a halves. Weekly 48s. So somebody came in late. You know what I mean? Like he waited for right before the bell to do that. So, okay, keep your eye on it tomorrow, especially if there's action. But, just in case, maybe you can hop on even a day trade if you see some momentum coming in at some point in the morning, if there's no news or anything like that. Also, Tree, let me get you to CRM. So here's Tree's question. CRM, dip buyers are like the sun coming up the next day, right? CRM, notorious dip buying machine for how long now? They did it here, if you remember. Right here, right? They came in June's, and there was a little rally. The only thing I will say is the focus has been on June's. That's all they're playing mostly, okay? And that catches earnings. All right, so technically it's earnings action. So what I like to say to most members, right? So if you're not a member, you know what the hell I'm talking about. If you like the name for a bounce, like if you want to play the same thing here, if you like the name already, then obviously it's a go. But if you're trading off the flow itself, I wouldn't play. I didn't play it. Because again, it's earnings action. And what Tree also asked, what happened was there was a couple sweeps, right? Small sweeps that came in, and then a size block came in after it. All right. And what's concerning about that sometimes, especially around earnings season, they wanted to front run that block. You understand? Because what happens is, let's say these guys pay $1 for those calls, right? All of a sudden, somebody comes in, buys 5,000 block, and he pays, let's say, $1.20 or $1.25, right? These guys made 15 cents doing nothing. Sometimes they make 50 cents doing nothing. They got some gimmick. So we see that a lot. We see that a lot. Sweepers just front running a size block that's coming in. That's all they're doing. All right. So in reality, we don't know, right? Would sweepers have hit the name without that block coming in? Like sometimes you want to see sweepers coming after that, tacking on to confirm, Steven has a good saying. Sweepers, block before sweepers, never sweeter. Sweepers before block. I don't know what the hell he says. Again, this is stuff like during earnings season. You want to get petty, you pay attention to, because they're more prone to failure. That's why, these earning plays. All right. Anybody have any other questions before I leave you to your night? All right. So we got a couple names to keep an eye on. Keep an eye on that STX mañana, the Huya off the action, even this 5. You could keep an eye on. All right. I'm sure there'll be some snapback rallies in between, even if we're breathing. We'll see what happens here. Yeah, just we got to tone it down a little. UVXY 2020 calls. What's the point? Probably just a strategy on vol, JP. You know, they don't have to lay much juice. Yeah, there's some put buying out there, and bare spots aren't too bad. EEM, that's another niner too, by the way. You know, like Ani, you hit the nail on the head, Ani. Right? I think it was Saturday or one of those days we were talking. You said, you're seeing some things out there now where you want to tone it down, right? Sentiment was a little hot. Niners, right? We're running into Niners all over the yard. Why do we gotta? What do we gotta be? Cowboys? Yeah. Yep. You know why be Cowboys now? What are we? We're gonna miss you know a little upside. We're still participating, right? We're still looking for stuff that maybe we don't need to market as much. Earnings won't affect. We're still playing a little, but why bury yourself? Why bury yourself? JP, because if you look, they're not paying any premium. They're not paying any juice on those calls. You understand? So they're utilizing leverage for free. All right, so that's all. We got a game plan. And like I said, we'll see. Maybe the next Tuesday webinar. Yeah, this is going to be recorded and we're going to tweet it out too, Karen. We're going to tweet it out. Maybe the next Tuesday webinar will be, a little breather or something like this, and we're ready to pounce. Bing. Yeah, that's why. If you're bullish, exactly. If you're bullish, pray for a breather. That's all. Whatever. Draw down, sideways like this. Root for a breather if you're bullish. Even a little breather like this will loosen things up. Because again, the worst thing, in my opinion, is we rally from here. You'll feel good about the couple of things you're long and the money you're making, but it screws things up big picture wise. Like the daily sentiment index, it's more of an intermediate term index, right? The DSI, NDSI, those things are like 94, I think, going into today. 94. You don't feel good holding a bag of calls with a 94 DSI. That's not good. So they need to cool it off a little bit. All right, guys. Thanks for showing up. Anybody who's new, wallstreetjesus.com. You can get more information there. All right, and we got a 3-day trial, no credit card if you're interested. Be good, everybody. I'll see the most of you tomorrow in the room and on private Twitter. Enjoy the night.